afternoon, and good evening to everyone viewing from around the world. And welcome back to Conversations That Matter with Dr. Sonia Robinson, Global Civility Leader. Today is the last day for the team introductions regarding Sustainable Development Goals. So far, you've met the leadership team, the food equity team, financial and wealth equity, equity for all, reduced inequalities team, quality education, gender equality team, peace and justice and strong institutions, good health and well-being. Boy, that was a mouthful. Today, we're going to discuss class action and why it's important. Whether it's fact or fiction, what's the difference between global warming and climate action? So we're going to get a little insight as to what all that means. And while we're doing that, I want you to keep this in mind. We will be taking a short break while the team is preparing and get approvals accomplished on their initiative prior to providing you with any future updates. So continue to monitor the website for any updates when this next show is going to be. And you can do that on www.icncgc.com. So again, that's www.icncgc.com. Now, once we've completed all the interviews, we will be changing the platform over to Conversations That Matter. Again, once the interviews are completed, which is today, we're going to change this platform from Conversations That Matter over to Congress for Global Communications. So let's not get it confused. There will still be Conversations That Matter, but CGC will be running under its own platform. Matter of fact, after today's show, I will be doing another interview for Conversations That Matter with His Eminence, Professor Christopher I. Mummerlin, 2023 presidential candidate for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So please join me after this show for a second show. So before we get started, I need you to do three things for me. One, I need you to put in the feed where you're watching from. Again, that will allow us to know how far we're reaching or how far our reach is. If you have any questions, comments, please put those in the feed as well. And then finally, share the video. Invite someone. They say there's 7.8 billion people in the world. We know we're not touching anywhere near 7.8 people, but at least some of them can catch it on the replay. So again, share the video. So now the next thing we're going to do is jump over into our vision, our purpose, and our mission slide. And again, why do we do that? To ensure that everyone is aligned with what CGC's goals are for this year, as far as what we're trying to do. So again, let me jump over there. We'll get into that, and then we'll get into the show. So again, thank you for joining us today, and welcome. The vision, the Congress for Global Communication exists to promote diverse and inclusive dialogue, resulting in civility for all. Our mission statement. The mission of the Congress for Global Communication is to build global connections and communication for the advancement of sustainable development goals by providing training, policy recommendations, and empowerment forums with an overall scope of transforming the world. And then finally, the purpose, to encourage dialogue, to impact humanity through collaborative global communication, to be the go-to resource and authority for sustainable development goals. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce my co-host for today, my sidekick, Dr. Phineas Kenethia. Oh, I got to take that off. I got to bring you on. And here we are. So Dr. Kenethia, Dr. Phineas, I'm glad to see you again.
Same here. What a blessing. Thank you.
Yes, it is. But before we get started, I know all about you. The people on the panel know all about you. Some of the visitors, our viewing audience, know all about you. But one thing that I want you to do for me today, normally I'd go through the bio, tell them how good a friend you are, and all these different things.
Yeah.
But what I started doing in the last 2 weeks is because I want to work with people. And when I work with people, one of the things that came to me, what God dropped in my spirit is sometimes when you ask people how they're doing or what they do, they'll go and tell you, well, I work with this company. I worked here for this long. And a lot of times that's not what people are asking you. Yeah. They're asking you about you. What excites you? What is it that you love to do? And so one of the things that I thought about is we need to work with people on how to answer questions just, like at a drop of a hat, impromptu. You just got to go for it, not think about, well, what am I going to say? Blah, 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 blah. You need
Yeah.
to be able to say, well, my interest lies here. This is what I've done. This is what I enjoy doing. And, you just need to, that's how you need to be,
Yes.
sharing information with people.
Correct.
So that being said, that's how I'm going to address you today.
All right. Wow.
We know when you were born. We know before you were born, God had in mind what you were going to do, how you were going to do it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But tell us, what was the foundation? What your parents laid, what foundation to get you on that path, to get you to where you are today? What was your upbringing like?
Wow, interesting. I know we don't have enough time to go through that question, but if I can give a short brief just analysis, I think literally I will say it's by the grace of God. It's all because of God's goodness that I am where I am. I was born premature, 2.86 pounds. I was born with chronic bronchitis and asthma throughout my childhood. Literally, I grew up with a lot of struggle, and we lived off of less than $2 a day for a family of 5. So it was a lot of struggle. But through the struggle, one of the things you asked the question, what did my parents or what foundation did they lay? But the foundation that I can say that was laid to help me get where I am today is just faith, is belief that no matter where we are, that things can change, that there's always greater, that you can pursue greater. And that is what set in motion my desire to help people pursue their dreams and actualize everything that they were called to be. I'm very big on that. That's my passion, is to help people move from where they are to where they ought to be and actualize their dreams, become everything that they were meant to be in life. But I would say the foundation was basically faith, and I believe in a potential future that is possible to create, whether through words, through action, through relationship, just a belief, and that's been my foundation.
Okay, so today, you got a lot of things going for you. You're a pastor,
Yeah.
you're a mentor, you're a speaker, you're a coach. I mean, you've done all these wonderful things.
Yes.
So that is by faith that got you to where you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I believe in. I think a lot of times we don't understand who we are. We define ourselves by what we do, and I think the essence of really being everything that you're meant to be starts with knowing who you are outside of what you do. What we do is not supposed to embellish. It is not supposed to define us. It's supposed to embellish who we are. So a lot of times, starting with who over what, a lot of times people start with what am I doing? What do I accomplish? What have I? And that's good, but you got to know who you are. I think leadership starts with self-mastery and self-awareness. And when you know who you are, you don't have to be defined by outside factors. So the environment around you could change, but it should not change the identity or the core of who you are.
Yes, yes, yes. So I thank you for that brief introduction. I'm
Yes.
now going to turn it over to you. This is your show. I'm just, I'm just here.
No, no, this is our show. Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and share with us what, your thoughts are on the topic today. If you want to go ahead and just share, your views. We have a video clip before you bring out your guests. However you want to handle it, let's go with the flow.
All right. Thank you very much. Again, we are so excited and so honored to be presenting this team and the group of people that we've graciously been had the opportunity of being able to work together and to create something as a Congress of Global Communication. Now, we will be talking about sustainable goal, which is sustainable goal number 3, which is climate action. And basically, the description of this is we are taking action by educating communities how to live responsibly and remain consistent and self-aware towards addressing behaviors that negatively impact the climate change. I was looking at this topic and just, within the little that I know, and I'm about to bring a team of experts that are going to, not necessarily experts in the field, but experts with the know-how of what's going on. But this issue of climate crisis continues largely unabated, and when we look at it, it's believed that the greenhouse gas emissions are rising. Which requires a shift in economies, and really climate action has become something that's very vital, even as we move towards just the volatile issues that the world is facing. And so most of the developing countries are actually formulating and implementing national climate adaptation plans. They're trying to put systems in place and trying to see what can be done, and in order to help, because climate action, believe it or not, affects a lot of the other areas. When we talk about food security and production, that's another sustainable goals that is impacted. When we talk about things like having fresh water and human health and different sectors of environment. So we see that climate action plays a major role. It takes a big role. And so we are going to be discussing what, as a group, we believe should be the foundations of beginning the process. We are not proposing ourselves to be their solution, but we want to offer recommendations that will begin to galvanize and move people towards really paying attention and even becoming more self-aware regarding climate action. And I'm so honored and so thankful for the fact that I get to work with some of the best people in the team, and just excited about where this is going. So with that in mind, we will get ready here to watch a climate action video. And once we watch this video, we can go into the next session of actually introducing the team. So Dr. Sanya, if you can bring the video. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia. And so without any further ado, we're going to get ready to introduce to you this amazing team that I'm privileged to be part of. Just a small part of the big team and facilitating this. And so just excited. We're going to start by introducing our team leader, Dr. Frank Kanu, and he's the founder and CEO of Organization for Poverty Alleviation and Development, which is OPAD, and that's based in Sweden. He's also a founder of Wild Climate Civility, and he specializes in environment and governance and poverty alleviation and, family strengthening. And he's just been a very instrumental and just very impactful in helping us get the full picture, not just have a 30,000 feet overview, but to really know what we're dealing with. And I'm so thankful and honored to introduce him to the team. So welcome, Dr. Frank Kanu. We are so excited to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Finas. Thank you so much. And I also like to thank Dr. Sonia for this great initiative, because I think she's an innovator and a creative person per se, because bringing us together with this idea It's very unique, per se.
Yes.
So once again, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Sonia, for this creativity, because it's an inspiration to think about what we can do for the world together. I think that's very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah.
Frank Canoe. And just alongside Dr. Frank Canoe, we do have another great leader that we're excited to work with. But in his absentia, we're just going to highlight him, Dr. Ira Roach III. He's also part of the team member. He's the founder of Focus Forward Civility and Kingdom Collaboration. He's a three-time best-selling author. He's a founder and senior pastor of City of Refuge Church. He specializes in helping humanity focus on the future rather than the past, training the mind to acquire the human ability to be a free forward thinker with creative and analytical balance. Dr. Ira Roach is not able to be with us today. He's out in just making an impact around the world in Ghana. And so we salute you in your absentia, and we are honored to have you in the team. Also in the team is another amazing, wonderful man that I've been so thankful to be connected to is Pastor Gary Wilkerson. And so we're going to bring Pastor Gary Wilkerson. He's a co-founder of Arato in Africa, which is a global tech conferences. He's a founder of Kingdom Bridges Incorporated, which is a global development company. He's also the VP of Centrico LLC, which is an economic development company, and he's a co-founder and pastor of Calling Down Heaven Ministries. He specializes in technology, global network development, international trade and infrastructure development, and economic development strategies. Amazing, amazing man. And I'm just thankful that he's part of this team. Welcome, Pastor Gary Wilkerson. We appreciate you being part of this team, facilitating and guiding and engaging us in conversations. So welcome so much, Pastor Gary.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not sure if I know that guy that you were just talking about. I am very happy to be a part of this team and this platform here. Thank you, Dr. Sonia, for all the wonderful, wonderful, innovative ideas that you've come up with to bring us together. As Dr. Canoe was saying, it's an exciting time and a wonderful opportunity for us together to reach and touch the world for good. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to this program and this meeting that we're having today. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it
too. Awesome. And also in absentia, we are going to recognize Dr. Shaoli Makaji, and yes, she's a dedicated educator, and she's passionate about education. She's also a global thought leader, and just setting setting and leading in child education, leading new age from age kinder to 12. She's also being recognized as one of the top 50 women leaders in India in education industry. She's also the top 20 revolutionary educational leader by the Academic Council of OCADs, and she's associated with premier education organization across India, and she's also been recognized among 99 women achievers of India for the year of 2021. So she's an acclaimed speaker, and she's also been invited in numerous national and international conferences, and she's currently working as a director of School of Education at Adamas University in India. So we are so privileged and so excited to be able to have this team. In absentia, we want to recognize Dr. Shaoli and welcome to the team. We are honored that you bring a different perspective, a global perspective to this team, and just excited about how we are functioning as a team. So at this time, we want to go ahead, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Frank Canoe. He's going to just give his opening remarks and just share with us what ICNCGC and climate action means to him and where he sees us going. So, Dr. Kanu.
Yeah, thank you once again. With regards to the core value of the Congress, and it gets me very convinced about the drive, the motivation, the inspiration behind this Congress. And because communication has been an important instrument today in this global community to reach out to people in the best way they can be able to understand. And it's also be a challenge for institutions, how they can be able to relay their message to people to understand what they mean. So for us to come up with this creative idea, I think it's a complement effort to their initiative already, and which can also solve a lot of problems. This is what motivates me. That's the drive behind this old push to say that we move this thing the right direction, because I know it's a global need and there's a gap for it. So we have to complement the global community to see that we become an important actor and player in the society. This is what drives me more to this Congress. But again, we want to also want to recognize, to be part of the global community, but also a recognized one per se. Not that we want to be a kind of an affiliate, but a recognized institution that they can be able to understand. We are ready to contribute, not only specific to climate action, but to the whole sustainable goals in general, because these are all global concerns. We can see how communication play an important role in the society. So we want to fill that gap and make communication reach the last man in the society. This is what I think drives me behind this thing. Yeah. And besides, climate change is a global catastrophe, and we all understand its urgency. So, and for us to succeed in climate change, we must be able to communicate to people to understand how we can be able to work together to mitigate this catastrophe. So that's why climate change action is important, but communication is the best way to be able to mitigate this problem. And it is not something that is strange per se. It's a discussion already going on in the UN and other agency, how they can be able to communicate these challenges to people. Do they understand? They don't know what exactly we are talking about. Maybe we can be able to make more simplified communication means so people can understand to the simplest way what is going on in the world. So I think that's why we are a very relevant institution for the globe, for the global challenges. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Kanu. And just curious, what would you say to people who think that climate action is actually climate change is actually a hoax? What do you say to people who think that it's really not an issue?
Well, this is a big challenge, because for many people in the world that are also in denial of climate change that it happened, some just think just a kind of a story or kind of a scam or just something we try to create. But the fact is there, the reality is there, you know. So changing their mindset, they have to see something more practical and to say that yes, because this thing was like this, but nice like this. I think this can make them change their mind to join us. But also communication, again, as I said, is very important. Maybe how they communicate to them, they misunderstood the whole concept about climate importance or urgency. So maybe if we can be able to simplify or improvise, come to creative or innovative communication method, maybe we can be able to narrow that gap and people can be able to understand exactly how it means, how these things affecting lives and destroying society, you know, so they can be able to be on the same page with us, so we can be able to work collectively. This, I think, we can be able to focus on right now.
Awesome. Yeah. So you believe that Congress of Global Communication is going to play a major role in communicating these sustainable goals and really simplifying a complex issue by presenting to us different. I believe what you're saying is that as we work towards communicating these sustainable goals and the need, that it's actually helping to create further awareness and dispel the myths that are there. Would you say that?
Yeah, that's what I say. I think the Congress, the Global Congress, I can say it come at the right timing because this is a gap that needs to be filled. Understand? It's a gap that needs to be filled because all these UN sustainable goals, they cannot be understood by the layman without better communication.
Yes.
So, and if we can able able to come out of the shell where we are just now, because we are not out yet to say to the global community to know that who we are, what we stand for, what our value, how do we want to contribute to global situation or global challenges. When we come from that step, we come from that step, we take that first step, then people begin to understand the significance of what we stand for. And I think the Congress is very significant. As I said, it's a complementary effort to the United Nations and other global institutions because communication has been a big challenge. How they can be able to pass their message so people can understand what they want. Yes. How they can be able to reach out to people to understand, to be able to interpret, because sometimes people misunderstand a lot. That's why I think there are a lot of challenges. So for us, stepping in as an institution to take that kind of responsibility, we already help them in many ways.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Kanu. Very good and insightful perspective. Just hearing from you, being that this is an area that you speak into and are involved in. And I do agree with you that we are not just a silo by ourselves. We are actually working in tandem with other organizations around the world to really identify the need and communicate the need. And ours is to position these sustainable goals in a way that creates awareness. And that's where the Congress of Global Communication comes in, where we create awareness, but not only awareness, but really simplifying and helping people understand a complex matter, but bringing recommendations too, because we are going to, and you're going to be sharing with us about our goals as a team here shortly, but we do have goals that we feel that as we pursue these sustainable goals, among other things, because all these sustainable goals are interconnected, they overlap in one way or another. And so we cannot ignore one over the other. For instance, financial inequality and something, like that can be affected by climate change, where people have no access to food or to clean water or to education. So literally everything is working in tandem. And so that's where I agree with you. So I'm also going to go ahead and take this minute to ask my brother, Pastor Gary Wilkerson, to also just give his opening remarks and also just share with us, what do you believe ICAN CGC, which is a ICAN Global Congress Communication and Climate Action, means to you? If you can just share that with us, Pastor Gary.
Well, sure. I'd be happy to share that with you. It's really a loaded question that you're asking regarding ICN CGC, but I'll do my best to to share with you my thoughts. ICN, I Change Nations, for me, it's a divine setup, and it instantly got me excited when I heard about it. When I was first introduced to the organization and invited to become an ambassador of ICN, I recognized right away that it was a platform that I could share my passion, which is for community and equality in life for everyone to experience good success in life. That's my passion. And so this was truly a platform that I could see would be useful in that aspect of things. Then when I began to pull back the curtain to see what and who was behind this organization, I really got excited even further, because what I saw was a man who exuded a passion to see others prosper in everyday living. That in His Royal Highness Dr. Clyde Rivers. Awesome man he is. I've come to know him, and what I recognized in him was that there was a profound image in him of how I even see myself being, you know. But of course, he was at a more advanced stage, you know, when I met him initially, and it gives me something to reach for as I watch the strides that he's taking across the globe and the lives that he's touching with the people that he's impacting, you know. So yeah, for me, we had an opportunity to meet initially, and when we did meet, my spirit was excited, and for me, that's a critical thing for me to get excited about another person from a spiritual perspective. My spirit really got excited, and you know, we connected immediately, and from that point, we committed to each other to join, to link hands, and to serve, to connect in ways that we would empower Africa and the world for the benefit of all people. And interestingly enough, through that commitment between he and I also had the honor and privilege of globally aligning with many others, such as yourselves, right here on this platform. And together we can impact civility for all. So that, in a nutshell, is how I feel about I Change Nations. Now, when it comes to the CGC, the Congress for Global Communication, now that for me was a surprise encounter. And I see it as a platform, a wonderful platform to be reckoned as the voice of reason at the table of discussion to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I personally sense very strongly that we at CGC are the voice at the table that's been missing. I really believe that with all my heart. And the reason that I say that is because from my perspective, the one thing that makes CGC unique is that it is comprised of, I think, the most powerful element of sustainability and human existence, and that is the spirit of unity. Everyone that I have engaged and communicated with in this organization has that one thing at heart: unity. And so that too really excited me. Now, why do I place emphasis on unity? I'll tell you why. Because people from multiple cultures, traditions, and languages who are all seeking to experience good success that is beyond their own private and or personal successes must have an understanding of one another. And that understanding is birthed only through unity. So that's why I place emphasis on unity, because the power of unity, I believe, will be the common denominator in all of our Congress for Global Communication platforms. I see it all across the board. And so, yeah, that for me is what gets me excited about this platform. Now, in talking about climate action, okay, that's another thing altogether, because it's something I never really gave any thought to until I was miraculously, and I say miraculously, placed as a member of the climate action team. See, if you had asked me the same question several months ago, I would have very clearly have said to you, I have absolutely no knowledge, nor do I have any interest in climate action. But as you are witnessing today, right now, I now see it differently. And I'm excited about my being a part of this program, a member of this wonderful team. You know, when I initially received this assignment, I was really, really perplexed as to why God would place me on such an assignment. But as I always do when God calls on me, I found peace with it at some point. You know, I found peace because he revealed to me that I have more to offer than what I was aware of, you know, at that time initially. And so I'm really good with that. But I'm not really naturally inclined, though, as far as science is concerned. But one thing I do realize, since I've been engaging with you all and doing the research, I realize that I have a significant inclination and fascination with nature. And it's through nature that I'm able to gain some understanding about the sciences of climate action. And so that for me is a wonderful thing. I also, through my research of climate action, I seem to begin to realize that, you know what, I have access. I have access to technological developments, which I believe are directly relatable as potential resources to resolving some of the climate action initiatives. And I believe very strongly in the depths of my heart that it's our perception as to how we view the issues of climate change that will determine how we engage to take action in making our climate more sustainable. So in closing, I'd like to, if you allow me to explain what I mean by perception through this poem entitled Life Changes.
Okay.
I think this is very relevant to what we are dealing with today globally as it pertains to climate action. Life changes. It's amazing how life changes so rapidly. For example, the life of an aging tree. The same life I saw yesterday with bare limbs and peeling bark, not 24 hours later, shows new signs of life breaking through the lifeless dark bark. The buds have shown their heads, piercing through the lifeless bark, having been nurtured by the morning dew while standing in the dark. And as the sun began to shine, breaking through the bark in the dark, bringing us the light of day, so it is that the buds have opened, bringing new life and beauty to behold without a single delay. Now the tree was dead, or so it seemed to be lifeless in every way. But truth be told, not easy to behold its life, which was just hidden away. It was only going through changes, you see. The life in that old tree, changes that are very similar to the life in you and the life in me. Sometimes our lives are flourishing and beautiful to see. Then sometimes our lives seem lifeless, just like that aging tree. Where does life stop? And where does life begin? Does life die and cease to be? I say life is eternal and never ends, straight from the hand of God. Life is brought into existence, and existence always is. It changes, 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 yet never ceased to live.
Wow. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really profound analogy of really referencing to life from the tree perspective. And first of all, I also want to say thank you for the amazing work you've been doing with the team and communication in helping us stay on track concerning this direction that we're going. I think you are really a good fit for the team in that direction, galvanizing communication, and so excited. Thank you again. And at this point in time, we want to go ahead and allow Dr. Frank Kanu. He's basically the team leader of this group. He is the most, I will say, seasoned and the most savvy person in this area. And so we rely a lot on his guidance as a team leader, but also someone who's practiced and experienced in this area. To give us guidance, but also to give us recommendations and to lead the team. And he's done an outstanding job in making sure that we understand this topic and begin to. And one of the things that I want to highlight is that we're not proposing ourselves to be quote unquote climate action experts, but we do see a need, and we at the Congress of Global Communication, as one of the executive team lead, we do see a need of working around the sustainable goals so that we are not just trying to to reinvent the wheel. We're saying, how can we impact the world in a significant way? And we agreed that the best way to do that is to help move the needle forward concerning these sustainable goals. So, Dr. Frank Canoe, would you be kind to share with us some of the goals that we have and just what we've arrived at, the direction that we as a team are going to be moving forward with as pertaining to this?
Yeah.
I think you're muted. You're muted, sir. Can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear us.
You're muted, sir. There you go. I don't know what happened. Maybe you might need to log out and log back in. All right. In the meantime, Dr. Sonia, did you want to add on to the conversation? You're muted.
Okay.
So
I do want to ask this question as the gentleman was speaking, because sometimes we look at climate action from not a global perspective, but we look at it from our perspective. And I had a conversation with someone one day, and I didn't get what they were talking about initially, but then it clicked. It just hit me because, and they were from a different part of the country, and they were talking about, well, when it gets this way over here, and you just go in the house and turn on the air conditioner. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, because it's 60 over here. And I'm like, but no, I just go in the house, so we're going through all these different things about the different temperatures and what you do when you get hot versus over here, they don't have air conditioning. And so it's like, is that a real problem? But then after you pay attention to it and you start doing research on it, and you said, global, it is a problem. It is a problem. And at that point when he said it and I thought about it, I'm like, I now know what he's saying, because it's an issue over here. And I'm just going to say in Ghana, for instance, and I'm at home, so it doesn't bother me because I can go in the house and turn up the thermometer. I can turn it up to 70 and I'm comfortable. But then when I went to Ghana and I'm in this heat and I'm sweating, and it's like, I can't deal with this. I gotta go. But I understood it 100% when you travel outside of where you're comfortable. When you travel outside of that comfortable zone. And then when I sit and I look at California, for instance, depending on the time of the year, and they're having all these fires, you look at Haiti when they're having all these earthquakes. I mean, you look at the continent, you look at the world, you look at, the different atmospheres, and you see these different things that are going on. And so it almost makes you wonder, how can people sit here and say if it's false or, if it's fiction or if it's real, and I'm like, but you're seeing it every day. It may not be playing out the same way in each country or continent or region, but it's playing out, and you just need to sit back and pay attention to it. We have, where the soil is eroding. We have where the glaciers are falling apart and breaking apart and floating down the water. I mean, you have all these things going on. But Dr. Frank is back, so I'm going to let him go ahead.
Dr. Canoe, can you hear us?
You're muted. Okay, can you hear us? Dr. Frank?
Yeah, I think I have a connection problem from this side. It's breaking up. I don't know if you can hear me.
It's breaking up quite a bit.
Sounds like a network issue.
Okay.
Yeah. I can hear you guys. I think I have a connection problem. So what happened is that I will send this my response by mail. Is that okay?
Can either one of you understand what he's saying?
No, it's very spotty.
It is same thing. Hello. What's happened?
Okay. Dr. Gary, did you want to?
Yes.
I'm sorry. What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
No, I was saying, Dr. Gary, did you want to highlight some of the goals that we had talked about potentially working on?
Well, yeah, sure, I can do that. Yes, what we've been discussing, Dr. Sonia, is that as I begin to research the climate action initiative, I began to realize, as I said earlier, that I have access to technologies that can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I began speaking with the group about it, we began to expound on different areas that we might want to get focused to. And what ended up happening is that as a group, we decided that we would give attention to multiple initiatives, combining them and overlaying them within one platform.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up looking at were two things primarily in the way of deforestation. We had deforestation we looked at, and then we coupled that with farming and agriculture, which is a major problem when you think about not only the atmosphere, but the lack of foodstuffs and things of that nature. And then, of course, with agriculture and farming, you must have water supply. And so we looked at water and a combination of water and energy together. So across the board, with our initiative, we're looking at how to structure a program to provide resources for deforestation, agriculture, farming, and water and power, water and energy. Now, Dr. Phineas, would you like me to go ahead and express some of the things that we talked about as a resource?
Yeah, just very briefly, because
Okay.
we'll have a session that we actually highlight that details.
Okay. So just quickly, without going into any detail, there are two developments that we talked about looking at. One was using, in the way of forestation, along with the farming and agro, looking at eucalyptus trees, because there is a species that we have access to that is a rapid growth, has a rapid growth process. And also another item was connect plant, which is another rapid growth product. And these are products that we can actually use to target the deforestation issue, along with the farming and agriculture. And also in the process of that, it will also establish commerce and giving the people and the communities where this is developed a sense of belonging, a sense of equity in what we're attempting to do in the way of climate action.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Pastor Gary. This is really, and this is a work in progress as we look at not just combating climate action just as a topic, but also looking at it economically and how that can impact and also create opportunities for those in whom we work with and create alliances and engage with, especially in the developing countries. And so, Dr. Sonia, I want to turn this back to you and potentially have you give some final remarks, and then we can potentially close.
Okay. So, Pastor Gary, I wanted to say this to you when you were talking about, ICN and CGC and what it meant to you, and when you were pulling it back, and then also when you made the comment about when you were initially given the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I listened to what you said about when you were initially given the assignment, and it's not something that you would have chosen, but you now see how you fit into that assignment.
Right.
Yeah.
God had a plan for you.
He had a plan for me, absolutely. And you know, from my perspective of viewing all of this, it also helps me to come up with ideas as a means of communicating to other people like myself who had no interest. You know, it's just a matter of you know, providing the information in a sense to people where they can relate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what happened to me as I looked at it. I began to very quickly relate, you know, even though you know, I'm not scientific in my natural scheme of thinking, but as I stepped back and I looked at what it was,
Yes.
and I realized the connection between my love for and passion for nature, it automatically made sense.
Yes.
You know, so but these are things we can look for as it relates to the people at large and how we can communicate to them. And again, I think one of the things that's going to be very important, or which became important for me personally, is that it's given me a sense of ownership. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what will ignite and excite people, is having a sense of ownership, equity in the process of taking care of this beautiful earth that God's given us.
Yes, yes. And if you had not gotten into, I mean, you know, like the plan was there. The plan was already there for you and Dr. Frank to work together on this. You
Mm-hmm.
had the nature portion, he had the climate portion. But it took communication to bring you two together to come up with a process and how we can make this work.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was a divine connection right there. And that's how a lot of the teams got together. But, you know, you guys brought a lot of insight into what's going on in the world today. And this isn't something that people sit back and think about. They just don't. But all this that's going around in front of us is eventually going to go away if we don't do something to get people involved, to get them to understand how devastating that this is. And as controversial as it is among people, what they see and, you know, what they believe and don't believe, it is a given fact that this is what's going on, and we need to address it in one form, in one way or another. And so as a group, you know, going around the earth or around the world in order to do this, this is the only way that we can make this happen. This is the only way that we can bring attention to it. So I do want to say, you know, I thank you and Dr. Frank and Dr. Ira for, you know, spending time and making this happen. I appreciate you for, you know, just stepping outside of your, you know, of you to make this happen and taking the time to study it, you know, to review, to come up with processes of how to do this. But this is something that is needed badly around the world.
I agree.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I thank you for your time and your effort and everything that you're putting into this to make it happen. Now, climate change, me as a professional, I can't help you. You have to be in person with your Dr. Phineas.
That's what I thought too, until I started working with Pastor Gary and Frank Canoe. And I'm like, I think I can bring some input.
You certainly have already, you know. You certainly have. You know? And as we continue to communicate with one another, it seems that in our communication we draw things out of ourselves that we don't even realize are there. So yeah, no, absolutely. You've been a wonderful contributor, and you know, I look forward to leaning on you when necessary, so that you know, we can advance the process of developing the programs that we're looking to do.
Yes, and I want to go ahead and read Dr. Frank Canoe's statement, because I think he's had a problem with his connection. But he sent a statement that I want to read, that the goal is to explore creative ways as a team, to explore creative ways in which climate change or global warming communication can reach its main target through simple and innovative means. and that we as a team are committed to influencing humanity through collaborative global communications in order to serve as the source of information. They're an authority on climate action for sustainable development. And that, in essence, is in a statement form what we're trying to move towards as climate action team.
Yes, yes, yes.
Very good.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Phineas, if you don't have anything else, you can go ahead and close us out in prayer. But again, I do want to thank the team today. You did a wonderful job. Sorry about the connection issues that we're having with Dr. Frank, as he's an expert in his field. And he had a lot to share in regards to climate action. But again, thank you so much. Dr. Phineas, can you close us out?
Sure. Before I do that, I want to congratulate you, Dr. Sonia, for an amazing, amazing work done over the last 8 weeks of consistently and continually pushing through, engaging with different topics, different sustainable goals, and creating a platform that facilitates dialogue. From a global perspective, I think that one of the things that is very commendable in all the teams is the diversity that exists in different teams and the collaboration efforts that are being put through the whole concept. And Pastor Gary talked about the whole idea of unity, the essence of unity being the synergy from which we operate from. So whether it's gender inequality, whether it's climate action, whether it's food, whether it's financial inequality, we have seen a display of unity from people of different walks and and that's what communication does. When we create a conversation that matters, it creates communication where dialogue can happen. And the goal might not to necessarily fix things, but to create dialogue that brings awareness, that potentially also brings solution, and eventually begins to bring collaborations that lead to initiative and action. So we want to also congratulate you for a job well done, and also for this platform that has been instrumental in allowing people from all walks of life to come together and to begin to have this dialogue. It's been amazing, and I'm super excited about the future of Congress of Global Communication and what we're going to do from this point onward. Yes. So again, we are the last but not the least. we want to say congratulations and thank you.
Yes,
so
indeed.
We'll just go ahead and pray. Father, we thank you for an amazing, awesome 8 weeks of us engaging consistently, continually discussing, dialoguing, but also allowing ourselves the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to expand our awareness. Because as we expand our level of consciousness and awareness, you move us into new spheres of dominance. And so we thank you that as a team, we are beginning to combat this as you would have us to combat it, because it's your will that whatever you entrust to us, that we're good stewards of it. And so being stewards of our climate and making decisions that impact the continuity and the effectiveness of the world around us, the climate around us, the environment around us. So we thank you. We just ask that you continue to guide us. We thank you for Dr. Sonia. We thank you for His Royal Highness and the entire executive board of ICN CGC. We thank you for all the teams and their team leaders, that as we move forward to take the next step, to move towards action, that we are actually making a difference. And we just thank you for this opportunity, and it's in your name, in Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Now it's time for the hard work to begin. Action.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice weekend, and I will talk to both of you later.
All right. Thank you all. Blessings.
Blessings.